Hello, Tar Heel Nation. Welcome back to another episode of UNC Hoops Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Dan DeWitt. So glad to have you with me. We get 2 wins this week from our Tar Heels. A little lackluster. We see some bench production, beat a couple of not so good teams. So let's see how you're feeling. If you're here live on YouTube, appreciate you joining me. Feel free to comment off to the side, and we'll get those up on here and answer as many as we can as we go. We may have Gil jump in here, but I just want to thank everybody for continue to listen and support the podcast, whether it's live here on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/UNC Hoops Talk, subscribe, hit that bell so you get the notification when we go live and come join us. I like to do these post game ones, but that's not always possible. And so we're pretty random. So hit that bell. Otherwise, if you are listening on a other podcast app, just make sure you subscribe so it goes directly into your feed and you don't miss these. And let's keep sharing them. So yeah, we get a win over lowly Louisville after starting off pretty slow. Not a good start. um, Pete Nance was out again. I think that's at least his third game that he had been out, that he missed with his back injury. Baycott did play, kind of last minute, unexpected, to get him in, but I think that kind of helped. I know it helped my confidence a little bit going into it. I was a little leery of how serious we would take it, how pumped they would be if they got us at home without Baycott, all that kind of stuff. Um, and so it was good to have Baycott in that game. And like I said, once we kind of got going, we got it rolling, and it was fairly easy game, 80-59 win over the Cardinals. Like I said, lots of bench production. A lot of guys got minutes and produced, and we kind of hoped that would keep going. Tonight we get Boston College, um, and so yeah, 300 here says my guy, and he says they didn't play the game on ESPN. I couldn't watch. Yeah, a lot of people struggled. I got it through the Watch ESPN or the ESPN app. Was able to get it and stream it up onto my TV. But a lot of people, I would say, check with the next time that happens anyway. The Bally app or Bally Sports app seems like people could watch through there. But I know there was a lot of people complaining that they could not watch this game. It was not pretty, so you didn't miss anything in that sense. But Tar Heels get the victory over Boston College. Final score ended up 72-64. It was low scoring for a while there. They got it ramped up a little bit in the late second half. So we got out of the 60s at least, but not real pretty. They cut it down to one. I don't know if they ever had possession when they were down one. I think we might have scored right away, um, but we did, yeah, get the victory at least, which is kind of what we said. With these bad teams, we need to get the victory. So the Nintendo nerd is here. Nice to see you as always, Dan. Good to see you guys as well. And yeah, especially after the Tar Heels win, it's not nearly as fun doing these after we lose. He also says the Louisville game was the first time going to a Carolina game. Imagine how hard I clapped when Baycott came out in the starting lineup. So yeah, it seemed like there was a lot of, and I've kind of heard too that there was a lot of Tar Heel fans at the Louisville game. Uh, Not, I don't know if you could necessarily hear it on TV. I don't know if it made much of a difference, but they did talk about it, and yeah, a good experience for your first game there, getting the good easy win. Unfortunately, I went to Louisville several years ago. Marcus Page was there. I don't know if it might have been his, senior year when we went to the championship and lost to that, 15-16 season, somewhere in there. His junior, I think it was his senior year because I think Bryce was having a good year, but we were up by like 18 and we blew the lead, went to overtime and lost. Rick Pitino was there in the white suit, all that. There was a whole whiteout. I mean, it was a good environment, but not the outcome that I wanted. So, um, so yeah. D Sunder Sunder 87 says ACC Network Extra on Sling. Yeah, I mean, I had ACC Network Extra through Dish subscription is what we have. So um, some of us got to watch it, but 300 going back even farther says they keep saying Alabama is the best team in the nation. Took us 4 overtimes to beat us. I feel good about that. And remember, that was the game Caleb Love shot 36 times or something like that. So, um, yeah, I mean, that was good, but I don't know if they were playing as good as they have been. I think we were playing better now than we kind of there. I think we got more things figured out. But yeah, I mean that's obviously a good. I don't want to say a good loss for us, but it doesn't really hurt us with how well they've been playing for sure. Um, and not to get into the whole mess that Alabama's in now with one of their players, just getting arrested. But we're not going to get into that. Nintendo, let's get back on track here. He says we couldn't get a stop to save our lives. Boston College is not a good offensive team. Yeah, I mean they didn't score a ton, but we definitely didn't get a lot of stops in there. They're a big guy, a lot of production there. Obviously a little bit lower scoring game. They only had 2 guys in double figures. And actually their big guy only played 20 minutes with his foul trouble, 17 points in those 20 minutes, but only 5 rebounds. That was kind of the big difference here is we out rebounded them 37 to 27. Offensive rebounds were 14 to 5. So he had, well, I guess not all of his were offensive rebounds, of course. Um, but yeah, points in the paint, we're still getting beat up. They got 38 to our 30. Fast break points were pretty even. Second chance points is kind of where we want it. 19 to their 4 second chance points. But yeah, I mean we get the win. We'll get to that. Let's start a little bit with Louisville first. Nintendo says there was a lot of blue and it was great. At the 4.5 minute left, all the red left. And that's always fun when you're at an away game watching the other team leave. What was it? A few years ago with Joel Berry there. Went to we played at Tennessee, and they were all hyped. They were sure they were going to beat us before, and then watching them leave afterwards was definitely great. So yeah, we got some other comments here about tonight's game, about recruiting and stuff. We'll see if we get into that, but let's yeah, like I said, start with the Louisville game. Like I said, slow start. Once we kind of got going, though, we got going, and we didn't have really any problems after that. Um, we were led by, let's see, Baycott had 14, and then DeMarco actually had 14 off the bench as well. Armando 16 points to go with his. DeMarco had 5 rebounds and pretty much one of everything else: 1 assist, 1 turnover, 1 foul, 1 block, 2 steals. Shot 5 for 7, 2 for 3 from the 3-point line. Great game. 25 minutes for DeMarco. And that's really the story out of this one, I think. We got 12 from RJ, 12 from Puff, who actually started there instead of Seth, with Pete Nance out. Caleb Love, 10 points. The shot 3 for 14, 0 for 7 from 3, and it broke a big streak of his where he got 3 in 44 consecutive games or something like that. But the bench scoring, I think, is kind of this. Well, not even just scoring, bench production minutes that they got in this one was kind of the story. Jalen Washington, 19 minutes, 6 points, 3 rebounds, got a little bit of foul trouble there, had 4 of those. We got 3 from Dontrez Style in his 9 minutes. We got 3 from Tyler Nickel in his 3 minutes. And then Seth Tremble gave us 11 minutes as well. We've got to get Seth going offensively just a little bit. He's got to give us, 3 to 5 points a game, get up to 7 once in a while. With his defense, we just got to get him going a little bit offensively um, to help us out. But yeah, good game at Louisville. Not much more we need to say there. L. Ellis, only person in double figures for them, as he often is. I think they said he was the only one averaging double figures. He had 22. He was cooking a little bit early, but DeMarco actually came in and stopped him, gave him some trouble there, and then again, once we got it rolling, it's kind of like for them, and I'm sure it is. They're 2 and whatever. Um, I don't even have it up in front of me. I don't know how many they've lost, but they've only won 2 games, and I'm sure it's like once, the stuff starts rolling poorly for them, it's kind of like, we've seen this story, and I'm sure they kind of give in a little bit to that, unfortunately for them. But yeah, not much else to say about Louisville. Let's see here. See if we can see some other comments here. Garrett says Tremble has no confidence to even shoot the ball. Yeah, I mean that's what we got to fix. How do we have somebody like, again, we harp on a lot, but Caleb Love has all the confidence and is not making stuff. Tremble's got to rub off on him a little bit, right? So I don't know. Uh, D. Sunder says you would think as much as they've played together, communication would be much better with these unforced turnovers. Nintendo Nerd says, yeah, the same. For some reason, the communication doesn't seem to be there. It's really weird. And going back, Mike says we're really missing Brady Manick's competitive edge. There is something there, that just something about Brady or the leadership he had, or the fire, whatever it is. We kind of thought Seth was maybe being a freshman. It's just not enough, or not being a starter and getting the minutes. It's not enough. I don't know. Garrett says we played pretty well. Pete Nance vanished. Would like to see him get some more. Yeah, I mean he started off okay. Seemed like he was in it, and then yeah, it was like you didn't even think about it, but towards the end of the game, you're like, man, Pete just hasn't done anything. So the Nintendo Nerd says, quite upset about how many bad self-inflicted turnovers we had these last two games. They have to fix that. And again, I think some of that is the competition. When we start rolling against Louisville, we get sloppy, I think. Not that we haven't had plenty of bad turnovers in more competitive games, and even when the game is in question or closer. And then tonight too, it just felt like I mean, we didn't have a huge lead. We got up to like what, 11, 13, something like that. And it feels like we start to coast. And we've seen that with this team before too. They just like to kind of coast at some point, instead of really just, putting the nail in the coffin and pulling away and getting the lead. You can credit the other team some, but when we see it as off as us, I don't know. Yeah, it is tough. I agree with you. Um, Garrett says, would also love for us to step. Yeah, I mean, that's just what I'm talking about when we're up 10, 13, whatever it is. Just really pull away. And maybe that is the difference with no Brady this year. I think only ones that can really answer that are the people in the locker room, and are affected by that. So Garrett says Clemson right now is down by 9 at Wake Forest. Yeah, I was just watching as I was getting ready for this after our game ended. Kansas is going to overtime with Kansas State, which obviously Kansas State is a really good team this year. But um, and I don't even know if it was. I think it was at Kansas, right? I don't remember. I was semi paying attention, but um, Nintendo says Pete's working back from his injury. Not too concerned on that front, but I mean, as long as they held him out, you'd think if he's playing, he's good to go. Like there's no reason to rush it. Although I don't know if I mentioned this, the Boston College game, Jalen was not available. Jalen Washington was not available tonight with an ankle injury, so maybe that affected Pete a little bit. That he had to get as many minutes as he did. Um, I don't know, but you just think there was no reason to kind of rush that back. And again, against Boston College and all that stuff. So 300 says we're just waiting for March. They're bored. I mean, that's what people are saying. That's what we kind of think, or whatever. But I mean, why wait? Like, let's get the 1 seed and make it easier on ourselves. Again, we could even push, make that switch or flip that switch, whatever, and beat these teams. And then, I'm not saying you couldn't ever coast, but let's coast when we're up 20, 30, especially on some of these bad teams, instead of trying to coast when we're up 10, and then teams hang around. Or like you said, just not even flipping the switch and we're just waiting for March. That's I mean, especially the way the tournament is, March Madness is, all that. It's just a recipe for a disaster and not working. So yeah, Jalen was out with a sprained ankle. Stinks kind of for his, not only for the Tar Heels but for his development as well, to have something like that. So Garrett says Pete's got to get more shots. 300 says it is at Kansas State. He's watching. So let me know. I'd like to kind of know how that one ends. Obviously, going into, I think I saw overtime. They were tipping it off when I came to start the podcast. So let me know who wins that one at least. Mike says I think RJ should be the only one running the pick and roll. Caleb's better off the ball. Should come off more screens to get downhill. His ball handling is not that good. I can't. I mean, scrolling through Twitter, when he's going through that streak, I know again he hit some late. How many times have we said this? He hits some late shots and gets his percentage a little bit better. Caleb Love ended up 7 for 18 tonight, 2 for 10 from three, 16 points. Led by Armando again, 20 points, 16 rebounds. RJ added in 18. I just think, like, look at these differences. RJ shot 4 for 7 from three, 6 for 13 overall. Caleb, 16 points, 7 for 18, 2 for 10 from three. Um, yeah, I mean, how many times haven't you heard somebody say, like, they got to get some easy buckets? They were saying it again tonight. It's like he's got to get some layups. He's got to get some stuff going to the hoop. Um, he's got to be attacking instead of settling for those threes, and we just continue to see him shoot from out there. But those are the only three guys in double figures. We had Pete with 6, shot 7 times, same as Leaky. They were both 2 for 7. Leaky gave us 5 points, 4 steals, and then DeMarco hit 1 3, gave us 4 points, and Puff hit 3 free throws to give us 3 points. So again, we're kind of back to same old, kind of like, what kind of production are we going to get from our bench? You know, um, and having how much playing time. I know Tyler Nickel finally got a few minutes in the second half, but other than that, I think Puff was the only other person that got any minutes in the second half. After, well, in this one, it was even less than Louisville, but we had Seth get 3 minutes in this game, and then it was pretty much DeMarco and Puff, and then the 3 minutes that Tyler gave us. So again, we're back, and again, I know Jalen was out, so that's part of it. You know, it. I don't know. We've talked enough about rotations. I don't really want to go into that one tonight. I'd rather keep this one a little bit shorter. Couple of wins that we were expected to get. I think it's probably time here to change or to look ahead to what's coming up here. But Nintendo says thoughts on the starting lineup change. Pete May play better off the bench playing for Baycott. I'm not convinced one way or another. I'm curious what you think. Yeah, I mean, there was lots of talk of it when Pete was out. Is should Seth be the starter when Pete comes back? And then it was Jalen came in, and should Jalen be the starter instead of Pete when he comes back? And um, I mean, people have said, Puff. I, I don't really care who starts the game. It doesn't matter. It's more who's getting the minutes. And obviously, Jalen wasn't there to kind of see. I loved the way Armando and Jalen looked together, but it was still Louisville. So I don't know if it's more who we saw it against, but it did look good with Armando and Jalen in there. I think it's something that wouldn't hurt to try. I mean, Pete played 30 minutes in this game. Again, that's without Jalen being available. It'll be interesting when he is available. Does he go back to, because we saw it, he had 27 minutes against Virginia, and then there was a game. It was the next game after Virginia, Louisville. Yeah, it was. But even in Louisville, it seemed like he got less. Let's see, what did he get against Louisville? Jalen got, 19 points, and again, that's without Pete. So, but I guess that's about where he needs to be. He just doesn't need more than that, just stamina wise, and where he's at coming back from his injury. But yeah, I mean, I would be interested in again, as long as Jalen keeps progressing, as long as he's not hurt, all that good stuff. Whether it's the starting lineup or just getting minutes or maybe saving his minutes. I don't know. It's hard. You can't save his minutes for the end of the game because then you're again not in a rhythm and stuff. So 300 says Kansas just lost. And talking about us flipping the switch, it's March Madness. There's no easy games. Yeah, I don't like that recipe. If that's really the guy's thoughts, I don't think it is. Obviously, I think they're trying to play hard. Just not always playing as smart as we'd like him, I think. Garrett says our free throws have not been great. I haven't really noticed that, but I don't discount that. Crazy how Seth is just getting no minutes now. I mean, that's the way it's been, though, is somebody will get minutes and he says he doesn't provide any offense. And that's kind of the problem. I think, Hubert's talked about how he likes Seth's defense. Now can we get him to provide just a little bit of offense? Because we don't need him and Leaky out there providing no offense. At least Leaky's looking for it and being a little more aggressive. But um, if anything, it's got to be Jalen. Yeah, I think if we're going to change Pete for somebody, it would probably have to be Jalen. But yeah, I mean, even with Seth, again, we've seen guys get, he was starting there for a game or two, and he was getting almost starter minutes, and then doing a little back. Maybe that has to do with Demarco. Demarco's been a little bit more consistent. He got pretty much starter minutes in the Louisville game. When I again that was kind of a blowout, so it's harder. We had only one starter over 30, but he had 25 right in the middle of our starters, and then tonight he had 15. So again, a little bit less. And I don't know if he even played in the sec. He had to have played in the second half, right? Somebody tell me that Demarco Dunn played in the second half tonight. I don't remember seeing that, but he didn't play 15 of the minutes in the first half, did he? Um, Nintendo Nerd says Seth does provide at least some offense as he's a good passer, especially to Baycott. Uh, Definitely provides no scoring, which is the issue. Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's not that and I don't think he's a bad offensive player. He's gotten, I think, a couple of bad calls going to the rim. He hasn't had some fall. Being a young player, all that's kind of affected him. Plus, you look at who else we got out there. With Caleb Love and RJ, I'm sure I'm sure he feels like he doesn't need to be shooting a bunch the way they are. So, um, he's definitely a solid passer. Garrett says DeMarco's going to be really good. I think he's doing. Plenty of people have said he was the player of the game at the Louisville game. So, um, yeah, he's a shooter. Him and RJ, I feel comfortable with them shooting threes. Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's definitely knocked them down consistently here lately. Um, I feel like I heard Sherrill McMillan on the um, Inside Carolina, or no, Inside Carolina podcast. Is that what it is? Carolina Insider, whichever one it is that he's on. That in a 90-minute, uh, his 90-minute statistics or whatever, or his percentages are that of Kerwin Walton in Roy's last year when he really shot the ball well. So I think his percentage, well, like I said, he's knocked some down. Mike says DeMarco's the only perimeter player that can shoot and defend. RJ does. He's just smaller, I think, so the defending isn't as effective as DeMarco's for sure, or like Leakey's and stuff like that. But Dunn is fun to watch. Was fun to watch at Louisville. I want to see him play like that all the time. Yeah, that's the next step now is to get that more consistent. And obviously he's coming back from breaking his hand and all that stuff. So um, hopefully that continues to progress. But like I said, looking forward now, we got State coming to town on Saturday. This is a 5 p.m. Eastern tip on the ACC network in Chapel Hill. Uh, that should have been like I don't know. There's probably like NFL football on again or something, playoff football on Saturday or something like that. But um, yeah, ACC network, so at least it's on TV. States look good. This game, I'm going to tell you, this game worries me a little bit. This is definitely not a automatic win. Um, yeah, Nintendo Nerd says it as well. Playing well, the guys cannot be sleeping on them for sure. And I did see just recently. I didn't even listen to it, but I kind of saw there was a tweet of a video of one of their players being interviewed in the locker room and talking about um, just that they're scholarship players as well. They're whatever, but they feel it and they're confident right now, and they want this game. So we need to come out wanting to beat NC State. I know. I think it was in the interview with Jones Angel, maybe on the coaches show or something like that. Asked Hubert kind of, Roy has had this hate and was open about his hate for NC State. What's yours? And he kind of downplayed it, said, no rivalry is kind of bigger. I mean, he didn't say that, but every game's a game. You come out and compete and play hard and all that stuff. Kind of coach speak, but downplayed it a little bit as far as hating state or anything like that. So, um, yeah, as much as the fans, as state sees it as a rivalry game here, as 300 says, it's what we need as a rivalry game. I hope our players take that seriously. And again, we are a little bit fired up. We're at home, so that helps us, gives me a little bit of hope. But I'm telling you, state coming to playing state, whether it's at our place or theirs, scares me a little bit right now. Garrett says do it for Roy, but yeah, like I said, this is a 5 p.m. Eastern tip. Um, it's right in that wheelhouse. It's no excuses here. hopefully our crowd is good, and it has been at home. So hopefully that continues. Mike says history shows that we play our best games against state. Hopefully that happens this Saturday. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, uh, but that's the thing. There's no guarantee, and we don't. Again, you guys know how bad I've been about remembering what we did. I don't, but state wasn't like this last year either. So, um, why not a 9 p.m. tip? That's way above my pay grade. Uh, I don't, again, it probably depends what other games there are as well. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know why it's not on like ESPN. Or why it's got to be one that they've decided ahead of time. The rivalry game they want it on ACC network or something like that, or if there's NFL playoffs on the ESPN channels or whatever. But that surprises me a little bit more than a 9 p.m. tip. But it is what it is, and like I said, there's no excuses why we shouldn't be up and ready for this one. So, Descender says Iowa State loss doesn't look too bad right now. They're up 9 on Texas. I mean, a lot of our losses now have looked a lot better. Charleston is now ranked. Yeah, Iowa State, Alabama, Indiana just got a big win over Wisconsin. They've been down otherwise, but um, feel like there's another one that we just lost that had some big wins. Now they're escaping me, but yeah, a lot of our games, but we still haven't looked spectacular even against other teams that even tonight, Boston College. They're 2-6 in the ACC, 8-11 overall, and they had us down. Or we were only up one with a few minutes left in the game before we extended it a little bit. So here it says huge rivalry, need the crowd into it at 9 p.m., but it's not 9 p.m. Um, it says hopefully they go to happy hour. Yeah, there you go, Garrett. Pitt, another, again, they did lose since then, but another win or sorry, loss for us that doesn't look so bad. But um, again, we came in as the number one team in the nation. We just come off a national championship and not sorry national championship appearance with most people coming back, but Duke beat BC by one. Duke, I mean, does honestly right now NC State scares me more than Duke does this year as of this part. Now I've not watched any of them play. I'm going kind of off of who they've played and who they've beaten and scores of theirs and stuff like that. Um, but I'm going to tell you, and even like just the guards of NC State scare me more than Duke's guards. And there's not really a big in this league that scares me when we have Armando. And if we can bring Jalen along, and as long as Pete is productive defensively, is knocking down a three or so a game, and people have to play him honest. Um, I don't think it's going to scare. I don't think Duke's going to scare me as much as NC State does. But um, yeah, Duke isn't that good right now. Wake is up 10 at half on Clemson. Man, I'm gonna have to go watch this game after this podcast. So I don't think I have too much more. I guess beyond as far as for podcast's sake, we play NC State Saturday, and then again a week from tonight we got Syracuse. That one's in Syracuse. That is a 9 p.m. tip for all of you that wanted a 9 p.m. tip. We get it Tuesday instead of Saturday, but that one's on ESPN as well. So we're the late game against Syracuse next Tuesday. Uh, they're better. They are better. So again, not one that we can sleep on. Let's focus on NC State first, of course. Um, get that win, hopefully. Cross our fingers. We can beat State. Let's follow it up with beating Syracuse. This is kind of that stretch we talked about the last pod, or even two of them, where we need to bank up some wins. So we got Syracuse away, and then we got Pittsburgh home before the first Duke game. So we'll pod before then again. Like I said, if you are not subscribed yet, go to youtube.com/UNC Hoops Talk. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you can join us live and comment. I love you guys for always being here. No matter when I go live, I don't even give warning to you guys. I love it. Nintendo Nerd's always here. Garrett's always here. Stay vigilant is here. Why can't I watch the game on TV? Um, and I'm missing some guys from earlier here. 300 is always in here. So I appreciate you guys, but I also do love the people that listen to the audio later on different podcast apps. Make sure you're sharing it with people. I would, like the video on YouTube. That helps me a lot. We're also doing the score prediction contests for every game on through YouTube, and it also goes on Facebook and TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, all those places. But anytime you guys see one of those, if you can hit the like button, or on this video as we're doing the podcast, hit the video or hit the like button so that it helps me out on YouTube. If you can share them out on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you're at, if you can share about the podcast, I greatly appreciate it. But um, yeah, Garrett says a win is a win. Stay vigilant. It's right there with him. A win's a win. It's a great day to be a Tar Heel. Feeling the love from 300. Nintendo Nerd says always a fun time. Appreciate the podcast. No, I appreciate you guys though. That's awesome. Garrett says everyone go like it. Um, and then D Sunder, yeah, it was great to have you here, D Sunder, tonight. The first time I've seen you up here, but he says I always listen later. Hopefully, it was fun, kind of being in here live, joining the conversation, and that's again kind of what I encourage. But again, I love the people that can listen later as well. That's um, tremendous. Again, I know I don't keep a good schedule, so the people listen later are definitely right there, and I feel the love for you guys just as much. But um, yeah, I'm rambling. As Garrett says, good night. Um, Stay vigilant is late, but I'll rewatch. Appreciate you, man, and no problem at all. Like I said, I don't even warn you guys. I just kind of go. I should be much better of like, hey, we're gonna do a post game pod tonight, or hey, I'm gonna record at this time, anything like that. But um, as the Nintendo Nerd says here, until next time, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining in. I'll talk to you guys next week. Until then, go Heels.